Codename DVZX. Confirmation of the weapon. Starting Operation Swordbreak. Hunters on my tail. I need to move fast. Regime agent and a boss suspected. Had to terminate. Body hidden on Pastis 4. Please dispose. Wait for further instructions.
Operation Swordbreak is a wretched and alone journaling game from Cat Scratch Studios, built on an engine originally made by Chris Bissett and Loot the Room. In Operation Swordbreak, you play a deeply embedded stealth agent working against an empire so overwhelming, so vast and so powerful that it has no name and is known only in your communication as the Regime. They are the people working on the weapon, something that is capable of extinguishing all hope for all insurrection across all of their domain. The rulebook refers to it as a planet killer capable of wiping out armies simply by existing. It is the thing that represents a ticking clock at the end of all revolutionary hope. You've got to do it before the weapon is complete, and that makes sense. The narrative wants to be about revolution, and revolution is... it's just really hard, you know? People really don't like doing them, and they only do them when they don't have any alternative. In the story of Operation Swordbreak, you aren't even starting the revolution. You're trying to stop the weapon to give the revolution time enough to happen.
Codename DVZX. Betrayal stings, but consider this. This is the first good day in the year. I say that knowing 3 of us will lost. Well, 2 of us will lost. Warning should have come earlier. A hunter caught it. New method X1 to 3. Old method A13 abandoned. Farewell, Aaron. Farewell, Kev. I would want to forget Reith's name, but rage does not permit it.
Journaling games. Okay, so start with an obligatory mention of The Beast, and also 10,000-year-old Vampire. These are the games you might have heard of because they are a little disturbing and a little fucked up, and okay, maybe a bit more of either of those things. Journaling games are a place where you either know nothing about them, or you know maybe 3, or you know about 600. Do you know The Quiet Year? You should check out The Quiet Year. It's not quite a journaling game, but it's kind of like a journaling game. A journaling game is a game where the game system gives you prompts to write about, and then its mechanics shape the prompts going forward. What separates a journaling game from a writing exercise is largely a matter of style and whether something is asking you for $1 on itch.io, but also everyone I know who's into journaling games is extremely sexy and cool. Journaling games often use cards, dice, or some other method to mix up the prompts, and what you get at the end of it is all a physical object, the journal, in which you've written your story. Operation Swordbreak uses a tower of matching blocks, a dice, and a deck of cards. If you wonder about what a game can do, what a game can be used for, you might be familiar with the idea that there are some things that it's just really hard for some game forms to do well. Most first-person shooters don't do good platforming. Most Euro Econ games struggle with handling combat mechanics well. Journaling games are wide open for a host of experiences that games normally struggle to explore. Gaming experiences about inner lives and indecision. Literally, if you can write about it, a journaling game can present it. The weakness of the form, that it exists primarily in the player's head, opens up space normally left untouched by more conventional gameplay options.
Codename DVZX. Reith was not alone. There are hands near XXXXXX, wanting them for propaganda. I have not been idle. You may find those hands by comparing them to these rings. And when you find them, show them the hands they sent as well. We have propaganda and those who do violence as much as the regime does.
Hey, you want to hear me make fun of French academics again? Roger Caillois, who my speech-to-text passed as Fragile Caillois, clown hater and failed human sacrifice, wrote in Man Playin' Games of his parameters of what made a game. This is by no means the end of the conversation around this definition, and that conversation is itself an enormous pain in the ass because we all start by bringing up Wittgenstein like he's the sexy cousin we're all trying to impress. Hi, Gray. But his thinking does show up in other places, and it's worth examining. One of the traits he thought was important to what defined a game was that it created a fiction, and that it didn't create anything of value. This is right there, a real boomer take on how valuable fiction is. Doesn't this guy know that The Land Before Time made a generation into paleontologists and then just into deeply depressed animation nerds? The idea that games can't do anything profitable does have some contention when we talk about gambling and professional gaming, and that whole conversation wound up being picked up by Bernard Suits in The Grasshopper, Life, Games, and Utopia, which I like so much I keep it under my pillow, in my phone, which I obviously sleep on. I don't agree with Calwa that games can't make anything productive. He seemed to express that if you got anything useful out of it, it wasn't real gaming, and therefore the only truest forms of gaming could be under full luxury space communism. Not joking, it's in the appendix, go check. But Calwa's limits on games meant that he didn't consider art games in his definition, the idea of games which, playfully, created something.
Codename DVZX. I ache for the loss as we do. The Hunter of Despair's blade has scourged enough that even here in the Empire, we are calling it unfortunate. The regime speaks of it as if it is a natural accident, not a thing that is being done to my people. I have an honor guard that think their work is currently being done for. I hope the supplies are some help.
I'm basically a radical in the conversation around creativity in games. I think every form of play is itself a creative act. You can't necessarily transmit or share it, but every act of idly playing with a pen is being creative. And I like this idea because it pushes the idea that creativity can be small and it can be large. That is, there is a quantitative and a qualitative element to this. I like this because I think it's important to recognize low effort art and low quality art are still art. And that means that we can discard conversations about what art deserves and instead focus on what we get out of it. And we can treat play experiences as what they are. An experience we can respond to, just like all other art. We can discard the Serlin Labour Games conversation. We don't need to worry about Jesper Juul's Orange Slice and the question, is D&D a real game? And instead, just look at what gets made.
Codename DVZX. 3 hunters are active. Famine is following after the scourge. The Hunter of Prowl is seeking the murderer of its brother. You can distract it potentially by taking the hands and distributing them to 2 different places. I should apologize, I suppose. The Hunter of Mayhem is something else. I cannot extol this enough. Run, do not fight, do not engage. I will find a way to get this to you. I have a manual for the weapon. Also, I must report the loss of the entire Hatton group. It is how I got the manual and the one non-compromised agent they had thanked me as I ended them.
I think my game of Operation Swordbreak went fine. I feel that I should have gotten more on the page if I had a stronger hand, if I was more used to writing notes that way, if I had been more thoughtful about the book I was going to use. I might have made more of an artwork of it. If I didn't have a timer, I might have done it faster, and therefore maybe gotten more pages done. I might have not had to hide the mistake I made with my tower in my narrative. Something I originally thought very ill of was the 3 different ways that Swordbreak uses its stuff. You roll a dice to see how many cards you flip, and those cards sometimes ask you to pull from your not a Jenga tower. Dice, cards, tower. I would almost always want to use just one of those 3 things because I think the material excess doesn't add to anything. But, like a clever magic trick, the dice, cards, and indeed the physical journal all meant that the tower was resting on a surface near where I was doing other stuff, making it more and more precarious over time, and I didn't notice because my attention was being controlled by the narrative. It wasn't until I shuffled a deck aggressive that I saw the tower wobble.
Codename DVZX. It is the sun. It is the fucking sun. They have cursed the godless sun. Whatever it is, they have made it out of the sun.
I care a lot about games. I care a lot about what games let us do with our minds and our hearts. There's this line in the Locked Tomb series, and I'm not going to say where, so it's not really a spoiler. You won't find it unless you look really hard. It's the line that resonated with me when I imagined playing Operation Swordbreak and making coded messages. It's, the only thing our civilization can ever learn from yours is that when our backs are to the wall and our towers are all falling all around us and we are watching ourselves burn, we rarely become heroes. Games give us ways to practice ways of being. Games give us the tools to make decisions in a safe space, so we know what to do when the world around us is as bad as it is in the games we've played.
It knows my name, not DVZX. It knows my actual fucking name. Codename DVZX. It found me.